Happy Pride. Pride. Today I am rocking my Peppermint shirt. There's a link in the description if you would like to have this shirt. In my last video, some of you guys pointed out that I don't have lenses in my glasses. You caught me, I don't have lenses. I put them on my face because I like the way they look, and with the lenses, there is a really nasty glare. Don't you want to see these beautiful eyes? Exactly. It is Pride Month. A lot of times people say, what is LGTB? What is LGTBQ? What do all those letters stand for? And I've decided to give you a very brief overview of the official initialism, which is LGBTQIAAP. What does it all stand for? Lesbians. A lesbian is someone who identifies as a homosexual woman. Ellen DeGeneres, Wanda Sykes, Robin Roberts, Rosie O'Donnell, and so on. Why are they the first ones? Probably because they were the first ones at the meeting. Lesbians are usually at the beginning of every pride parade with a group called Dykes on Bikes, founded by Sonny Wolf in San Francisco, who passed away on April 25th of this year. Rest in peace, Sonny Wolf, and thanks for your impactful pride tradition, and also thanks for your service as a medic in the Air Force. Then you have gay. A gay man is a man who identifies as a homosexual, probably the loudest voice in the gay community. Usually because gay men are extremely loud and men tend to talk over everyone. Now the truth is, gay men probably weren't the second ones at the meeting, but they probably complained so much until they got the second letter. We're thinking RuPaul, Big Frida, Zachary Quinto, Frank Ocean, Elton John. Gay men are probably the most represented members of the queer community in television and film, and I don't think that's a coincidence considering that it goes along with male privilege. On the plus side, a lot of gay men have used that privilege to advance the movement for queers, although sometimes there has been a tendency to leave out our more obscure members of the queer family. Bisexual. A bisexual is someone who's attracted to males and females. Andy Dick, Janelle Monáe, Frenchie David, Sia. Now these are the ones always getting shade in our community. That's called a big bi erasure that happens a lot in the queer community. I think the reason they usually get so much shit is because gays and lesbians often feel like they say they are bi, but are living very heteronormative lives. I'm not saying that's how I feel. I'm just saying that is a sentiment that I have heard in the world. Transgender. Transgender is a word denoting or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with that of their birth sex marker. Think Laverne Cox, Jazz Bono, Isis King, Jazz Jennings, and the goddess Marsha P. Johnson. We have reached the holy grail of our community, the saving grace of queerness, the true evolution, and the start of the queer rights movement. Now, here's where some people get confused. What's the difference between transgender and transsexual? Okay, transgender is an umbrella term that actually encompasses transsexual. Transsexual is a word denoting or relating to a person that identifies with a sex that is opposite of their gender marker. To put it in simple terms, if you were born a male and you identify as a female, transsexuals are typically binary, whereas you can be transgender and be non-binary. Queer, this is the big one. Queer is an umbrella term for anyone who is not heterosexual or cisgendered. So pretty much anyone who isn't straight and cis. And cis meaning they identify with their gender marker they were assigned at birth. Questioning. I think this one speaks for itself. These are people who don't know exactly where they fit in and they're still deciding for themselves, but they don't necessarily feel like they belong in a straight cis world either. Intersex. Intersex people are born with any of several variations in sex characteristics, including chromosomes, gonads, sexual hormones, or genitals. Pinky Pramanik, Sarah Gronert, Tiger DeVore, Castor Semenya. The most famous intersex people are usually athletes, and that's because their gender is usually called into opinion in public light in a humiliating debacle, debating whether or not they should be allowed to compete in sports, and it usually happens with intersex people who identify as female. Asexual. The word asexual denotes a person that is without sexual feelings or associations. Janine Garofalo, David J., Bradford Cox. Asexuality is often mocked because sexual people can't imagine someone not having sexual attraction. However, science has shown that it is very real. There tends to be confusion about asexuality because some people don't think you can actually be asexual if you've been attracted to someone or if you've had sex. You can even be married or in a relationship and still be asexual because, shocker, attraction and love aren't mutually exclusive. Allies. We're talking fag hags, fruit flies, fag stag. Now this is a heterosexual cisgendered person that supports queer rights. Think P-Flag, although you can be queer and in P-Flag. Beyonce, Cher, Joe Manganiello, Macklemore. These are very often important voices in our communities. However, they are not the voice of the queer community. Remember that. Pansexual, a person who is not limited in sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity. Ezra Miller, Miley Cyrus, Margaret Cho, me. Now, I personally identify as pansexual, but in the past I've said I was gay, honestly, out of habit. I mean, pansexual is a word I didn't even know until about 2 years ago. And now that I've learned the word, it seems to truly encompass who I am because we truly live in a binary world. Everyone's like gay, straight, white, black, Democrat, Republican, Beyonce, Destiny's Child. I actually think that on some level we are all pansexual, we just don't know it yet. Now, there are other iterations of the initialism, but it's been amended so many times that it truly is hard to keep up with, even for a queer person. So if I forgot your letter, make your own video and school me. I'm always willing to be wrong. So as you go into the world for this Pride Month, please remember how our entire tradition started, because a bunch of ticked off outcasts led by a group of fierce trans people of color decided that they had had enough. And queer boys, because we truly tend to be the hoes of our community, please remember this Pride as you go into these festivities, wear a condom. Remember, PrEP only protects from HIV, and that twink that you hooked up with on the dance floor at Rage is not exclusive to you. He is community property. Happy Pride, everyone.